the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
A sad note, Brian Wilson, the co-founder of the Beach Boys, he died yesterday. He was 82 years old. And I don't even really need to explain who Brian Wilson was. I mean, for people who remember or love, even if you don't remember, the music of the Beach Boys, he was the driving force behind writing most of the songs, if not all of them. Master producer, here we go. This is sung by his brother, Carl, but he composed and arranged this song. Let's listen for a moment.
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it.
God Only Knows.
I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you.
The stats on Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, from 1962 when they first emerged to 1966, they had 10 top 10 hits, and there were 7 more top 40 hits. They recorded for Capitol Records. Most of the Beach Boys songs, and certainly all of the hits, were either written solo or co-written by Brian Wilson. And this is probably the height of their popularity. And there's an interesting article on Brian Wilson in Variety. So if you're interested, Cyrus has a link posted for you. You can read about him. And if you're not familiar with him, or you're thinking, yeah, I remember hearing that song, I didn't really know where it came from. For people who are old enough to remember the Beach Boys when they were on the radio, you know, it's just the end of an era. And they had a running kind of, not friendly, but a kind of running competition with the Beatles. Or at the very least, Paul McCartney has said many times that he felt challenged in a good way by the Beach Boys. Their harmonies, the music, the composition, the melodies, they were, for Paul McCartney, who was paying a lot of attention, as were the other Beatles, but he said that spurred him on, and the Beatles collectively, to try to do better with their music. And it showed, because he said that Sgt. Pepper was the direct result of him hearing Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys and being wowed by it and saying, well, we got to do something at least that good, if not better. Sgt. Pepper emerged. Cyrus, can you imagine that? Imagine being Brian Wilson, and one of the bullet points on your resume is you are responsible for prompting the Beatles to do Sgt. Pepper.
I think that would be the title of my story. If that
be the only thing on your resume.
Right. So is it true that, I don't know what Beatles album it was. Was it Sgt. I think after Sgt. Pepper's, Brian Wilson went into like a tailspin, because like, how can it get better than that?
Yeah, I don't claim to be an expert on all of that, but I do know from seeing interviews with him on YouTube primarily that he suffered mental health problems, and I don't know if I know exactly what the source of it was. I think it could have been depression. There was a lot of drug use, quite frankly, and I'm sure that exacerbated whatever the existing problem was. But yeah, he retreated into seclusion, and for the better part of the Beach Boys' career after the 1960s, he no longer toured with them. But he would stay in his home, and he would write amazing music, and then go into the studio and arrange it and mix it. I saw a video yesterday, Cyrus, you like this. George Martin, the famous producer for the Beatles albums, most all of their albums, if not all of them, he's like showing up at Brian Wilson's mansion in Beverly Hills or wherever he lived, and they're just hanging out together. And the end of the video, did you see this one where they wind up in the studio with the mixing board and all that? You see this one?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. You need to see it, because it's really amazing, and it's completely extemporaneous. It's not rehearsed at all. George Martin is asking, can we, listen to the I think it was Good Vibrations. Or no, maybe it was God Only Knows. I forget which, but in any case, so it's in the studio. Brian Wilson is there, and they're looking at the raw tapes. And George Martin starts moving some buttons around, and he starts mixing it. And in just a matter of a few moments, Brian Wilson just like does a double take, and he said, "This is amazing." He says, "You just mixed it better than I did when I did the final mix before we released the album." And he says, "You made it sound better than the actual album just by moving a few buttons around. It's amazing.
These guys are geniuses.
For sure.
Next level geniuses.
Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.